Hello everyone and welcome to WGBS TV Live, brought to you by SupermanHomepage.com, the #1 Superman fan site in the world. My name is Steve Eunice. In this, our February 5th, 2019 show, we're going to be covering a range of topics including Super Pets movie. We're going to be talking Reign of the Superman, we're going to be talking Justice League versus the Fatal Five and so much more. We'll also be turning to you to take your questions and comments on anything you'd like to discuss in regards to the world of Superman. And to let you know how all that works and how you can get involved in tonight's show, let me introduce you to my co-host, Mr. Michael Bailey. Hey, Mike.
Hey, Steve. Now, WGBS Live, if I could speak, which for some reason there I couldn't for a second, is all about Superman. And we want to hear from the Superman fans that are watching us live on Facebook. So around the halfway mark of the show, and if we don't have too much on the docket, which has actually been kind of a problem the past couple of weeks, we will try to start taking your calls. To do this, you'll need Skype. Log on to Skype, find Superman homepage, and message us. Now, here's a couple of important things. One, message us. Don't just call. That kind of screws everything up. And two, if we do happen to take your call and you do get on with us, please turn down the volume of your speakers or whatever you're listening to, because there is a bit of delay.
Correct. Now, for those of you tuning in live via Facebook to watch tonight's show, below that or next to that video, we invite you to post your comments and ask questions, and Michael and I will keep an eye on those comments to react to them as the show continues. And a huge thank you to our lone sponsor and patron, Douglas Meacham. We appreciate your support, Doug. Well, Mike, it's been another busy week in the world of Superman. That seems to happen from week to week. I often get asked from people who know that I run this website, like, what do you do every day? How is there something to post every day? And I was like, you would be surprised.
Yeah, they obviously haven't really paid attention to the site for any extended period of time, have they?
Well, they're not necessarily fans, so they just wonder, what do you do there? What is there to post every day? And it's like, well, there's 3 or 4 things to post every day, not just the one. So yeah, it's
and you've been chaining me to the keyboard lately too, with a couple different reviews, which I don't do all that much anymore. So yeah, that pay. So, but no, it's been fun. It's been fun to sit down and put thoughts to words instead of just sitting here yakking into a webcam.
Yeah, no, I find it therapeutic sometimes to be able to, sit down and type something up, and which is why I do the column for the newsletter that we send out twice a month. And so it's not just all about video and audio. So, it's nice to be able to sit down and write and read some things every now and then. Yes, little kids out there, you do get to read sometimes. Try it.
And we do appreciate everyone watching this tonight, probably after watching the state, for the people in the U.S. after watching the State of the Union address. This is going to be much more entertaining.
We promise. Now, as I said, it's been a fairly busy week with movie news. The official movie trailer for the upcoming animated movie Justice League versus the Fatal Five dropped on IGN.com, and we'll play that for you now to take a look at what that movie will look like. Have a look.
You all right, son? We need to know what he knows.
He doesn't even know what he knows.
It's a ship.
We've come to the right place. Superman.
He claims he's from the 31st century.
I'm Jessica.
Everyone knows Limelight.
The Fatal Five are coming!
Well, ye old Justice League.
I didn't know you had powers, Thomas.
Metropolis will be but the first of your cities to be flattened. Or hand over the lantern.
We don't negotiate with terrorists, even the 31st century kind. We stop our enemies before they even start.
No one's responding to our call.
heard you were grabby.
So there you have it, the trailer for the Justice League versus the Fatal Five. One comment out of that kind of tickled me was the Fatal Five saying, "Oh, the old Justice League," which for them, because they're from the 31st century, but for us it's like, yes, the old Justice League, because that's the designs from the TV series.
That looks so much better than I thought it was going to be. I really wasn't too super excited about this, but after seeing that trailer, I'm like, wow, that looks really good. So it's kind of neat that they're following an animated film that I liked quite a bit with another animated film that I'm probably going to like quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. Well, there you go. And we don't have an exact release date yet, but we do know that it's supposed to come out on Blu-ray around March or April. So not that far away, really. It's not that big a gap between films.
Yeah, that's... I'm sure they usually only release about 4 a year.
I'm guessing they had Reign of the Superman up their sleeve, having done them probably at the same time as the Death of Superman. So it was all about giving the Death of Superman its own breathing space before they released Part 2.
Yeah, so that kind of, even though that's around the... Yeah, because that was a little earlier than they normally do, so I'm wondering if everything got kind of bumped up a little bit because of that. Because usually it's about the end of February that the first one comes out.
Yeah. So, speaking about Reign of the Superman, let's go to your review. You posted your review of the animated movie and the Blu-ray combo pack on the Superman homepage website yesterday. Did you want to kind of give a little bit of a skim of what you thought of the film?
I liked it. No, wait, there's more.
Read the review.
Read the review. No, it was very impressive. I think they managed to get the tone and feel of the comics, and yet tell their own story. One of the things that I kind of go through in my review is that, really everything with Reign of the Superman depends on you having some familiarity of 5 years of Superman stories. So you don't have that luxury with these animated films. There is a continuity, but let's face it, Superman has not been a huge part of the Justice League movies that they've done. So the fact that they were able to kind of introduce these 4 different Supermen, give you kind of a sense of who they are, and tweak them to kind of fit this new world, and yet it still feels like the story that it's based on, I think, was extremely impressive. My only real negative of the movie is I really didn't care for the fact that Darkseid was the ultimate bad guy and that he created Doomsday. In fact, I kind of hated that. And it's not that I don't like Darkseid, it's just I could see why they didn't want to go with Mongol, because Mongol doesn't have the star factor.
The name recognition.
Of who Darkseid does. Sorry, the fan on my laptop just made a really weird noise. I apologize. It distracted me for a moment. Yeah, but I see why they did it, but at the same time, I don't want Doomsday to be a creature of apocalypse. I know a lot of people don't like the origin that they eventually gave him. I liked it. But I don't like the fact that, basically what that kind of says is Darkseid could whip up another Doomsday if he wanted to. And I think that kind of cheapens the character and what he was supposed and what he represented in the story. It made for an exciting climax. I liked the fact that they got the Justice League off the table pretty quick so that we could just focus on the characters we're supposed to focus on. Oddly enough, even though I didn't like Darkseid being involved, I liked Hank Henshaw and his motivation. And the fact that he was just mad that Superman didn't save him and was bitter because of that and because his wife died. So even though I didn't like that part of it, I liked parts of what it did.
Now, what did you think of the way they treated the Eradicator and his role?
Loved it. Because, again, we don't have an Exile movie to spin off of. The fact that he was just basically a hard-like construct that was there to protect Superman both before he died, because of how he was introduced in the first movie, and after. Him being like really violent was never really fully explained. That was more just, well, that's what the story needed him to do. But I kind of liked that he had that part. I was a little disappointed that he wasn't part of the reason Superman got his full powers back.
Yeah.
But that's just me liking that part of the comic book story. I think another thing they did very well was Lois's role.
Yes.
I mean, she was basically the main character of this movie. And I loved that she was there in the final battle and was standing with Superman. It was just such a validation for her as a character. And just all the scenes of her with Diana at the restaurant, and then, hunting down all the different Supermen, and from Superboy, who, God, it was so great how they were able to make him 90s and still, in 2019, or into the very Iron Man Steel that they developed. It was a very impressive film. My only other sticking point was the end credit sequence, where Lex shows up and he's gonna
join the team. I'm like, oh, okay, so we needed to do Darkseid War. Yeah.
So there's a Darkseid War movie coming. Okay. Whatever. But still, a lot of fun. I have a question for you, though, and this is a weird question.
Okay, throw it at me.
Now, in the first movie, he has the New 52 outfit, right?
Yes. And
at the end of this, he has the post-Superman Reborn outfit.
Right.
From the Rebirth era. Do you think that like when they were first starting to work on the film, the New 52 was still a thing, so that's why he had that costume? And then by the time they got to the second film, they were just up to Superman Reborn. So right when they're finishing it up, it's like, oh, we're bringing the trunks back. Do you think that they were just like throwing their hands up, like the animators was like, what costume do you want us to have? Seriously.
Yeah, I do. I think that they were probably, amongst all that when they were doing the character designs. I think T.A. Hewitt, our reporter who was at the New York premiere, actually asked Barossa, the character designer, about why did you not use the trunks when he came back? And he said, oh, well, that's just where we went with at the time, So I think it pretty much answers what you just said, At the time, that's where the things were at as far as the comic books were concerned. That was the look that DC were pushing. So, pretty much, it's probably the best of the non-trunk designs that I've seen in animated format.
Oh, it looked amazing. I was really impressed. I was super impressed that they put the yellow shield on the cape. I was just like, okay, you guys are going all out for this, aren't you?
So it was pretty well done. So Reign of the Supermen is out now on Blu-ray. It's been out for a couple of weeks now, and it's as Brad was saying in the comments there. If you're outside the US, The Death of Superman is now on Netflix. It is here in Australia, and I imagine it will probably be in the UK and other places other than the US where it's available on the DC Universe digital streaming service. So great chance to be able to watch both films, Death of Superman on streaming services and Reign of the Superman on Blu-ray, out now.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the combined version that we're going to be getting in a couple months.
Yeah, exactly. Now, talking about upcoming films, as I said at the top of the show, Warner Brothers announced this past week that they have a release date for the Super Pets movie that was announced last August. It will come out on May 21st, 2021. So May 21st, 2 years from now. Far out. That's a long time away.
That's pretty standard for animated. I wonder if they just got it greenlit. Yeah, so I think it's animated, isn't it?
I don't know. It could be something like, a live action kind of, where they use actual CGI or use real... I don't know what they'll do. But if it's an animated thing, something like The Secret Life of Pets, that could be fun for kids. But if it's something, a bit more realistic, like a CGI type fare, I would be up for that too.
I'm fascinated that this thing is a thing. I am, you know, we lived so long in a world where the versions of the characters that we got on television or animation or in the movies were seemingly tightly controlled. Like it was, you know, like they didn't do anything too outlandish. To now it's just like super pets? Sure, why not? I mean, Into the Spider-Verse did well and was nominated for an Academy Award, so why don't we throw our hat into that ring? And it's just the idea that Crypto and Ace the Bat Hound and Streaky and Beppo and whatever the name of that Kanga is that is Wonder Woman's pet,
I think it's Kanga,
are going to be on the big screen just fascinates me.
Yeah.
Like I'm looking forward to it, but I just have no idea what that's going to be.
It'll be interesting to see. I'm really looking forward to to seeing something different from DC. You know, an animated film or a live action, CGI film about pets, super pets, for kids to go see, because all the movies, recently have been very dark DC superhero films. So it'd be, Shazam's set in the way as far as being a bit more light toned. So let's see something along those lines. I think it would be fascinating. I'd go see it.
I want them to do a joke trailer where Ace the Bat Hound asks Crypto if he bleeds. I mean, I would just play that completely for laughs.
Well, speaking about Do You Bleed, Henry Cavill, who was obviously Superman in that film, posted a new image of himself, a photo of himself on his Instagram account, saying that I don't always work out, but when I do, I work out with Superman. Come on, this guy works out all the time. I mean, look at him.
Yeah, he's kind of swole in that picture. I was just like, wow, Henry. Yeah, what are you working like? Is that his physique for The Witcher? I mean,
yeah,
that seems a little more bulky than he has. Yeah, like buffer than he usually is. I mean, I'm not complaining, but wow, on one hand, I wonder if he's hinting at something. On the other hand, if he's not, that's a little trolly.
It is. I mean, on one hand, it's like, hey, look at me, I'm still in shape, and here in Budapest, I think it's where they're filming the Netflix The Witcher series that he's starring in. But whether that happened to be a Superman statue there, someone brought it in, or what have you, but it shows that, one, he's still very much in the the Superman family as far as wanting to be identified with the character, and hopefully too it's showing that he still wants to play the character, and which we know he does. Maybe, like I said, he's just trolling Warner Brothers a little bit, saying, hey, look at me, I still look the part.
Yeah, and we've gotten all the difference, like some people saying it's definitely like Amy Adams hinting that it might be over, and then saying, oh, maybe not, and Jason Momoa saying, he's definitely going to play Superman again. It's just, I'm kind of curious why the WB is dragging their feet so much. My hope is that maybe they're keeping everything really under wraps until they have all their ducks in a row and are ready to announce, because let's face it, anytime they start hinting at stuff, especially with Superman, it gets out of control like really fast.
Yeah.
So maybe maybe they're just kind of playing it cool. I mean, there was the thing recently that it was reported that James Gunn was offered the Superman film.
Heard that.
And I think it's a shame that we didn't get that, because I think he would have done a really good job with the property.
Yeah.
But maybe they're also keeping it kind of out of sight and letting the previous, like the whole thing with Justice League and all that kind of settle down, so that when they bring it back, it can kind of stand more on its own and not be so compared to the previous movies in the franchise.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens, and people in the comments saying, just let us know one way or the other if you're still Superman, Henry. Well, I'm sure he doesn't really know, because there's no property for him to be attached to at this point. He's the incumbent, so until they announce that they're actually making another Superman movie and they're going with him or doing casting for another replacement, he won't know either.
Yeah, and the fact of the matter is, he may be contractually unable to say that he's doing it.
Yes, or not.
So, we're going to be talking about this until they announce something for
100%.
For sure. It's kind of like Doctor Who. When they that there's going to be a new Doctor Who, there's all this kind of kerfuffle over it until they finally announce it, and then everyone complains. so it's exactly like this.
Half of the course. Well, talking about complaining, this next story really created a bit of a stir, especially on our Facebook group. And it was a bit more, mostly over the wording that I used in my title. Caitlyn Jenner, who, as we know, used to be a man, was in the Olympics in 1976. In the photo that I've got here was a javelin thrower, and was flown from just after the Olympics in 1976 to Rome to audition for the role in Superman the movie, and put on blue tights and red cape and got into the Fortress of Solitude, says it fought Lex Luthor. Obviously just some kind of an audition process, but obviously they found Christopher Reeve and went that way instead. And my heading was Caitlyn Jenner reveals that she Caitlyn Jenner reveals doing a screen test for Superman or something along those lines. People saying, well, it's not revealed, we already knew it. It's like, well, she revealed it on this show to these people who didn't know it. So get over it.
Was that really the worst part of the Facebook blow up?
Probably not the worst part, but there was
I
woke up to a whole long list of what the hell is going on here?
That's where it started, but yes. I think it was wow. I rarely get called into these things, but just watching some of the comments and some of the things people said, and I'm just because I don't want to absolutely think horribly of humanity. I'm sure some people were probably having fun or trolling, but just some really vicious things were said through the course of it. It was kind of interesting,
to say the least.
To say the least, yeah. Quick note: Brad Glenn in the chat. Yeah, I know it's just the Doctor. I'm going to say Doctor Who because that's the name of the property. You pedantic. No, this is one of those. This is a good example of, I think, fandom, especially when you're really clued into a character, not accepting the fact that not everybody knows what we know.
Yeah.
Bruce Jenner, who's now Caitlyn Jenner, but I want to say Bruce Jenner auditioned for Superman. Sure. I think that's more accurate.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah. But it was always like one of those things where his name was, like they always do like that Murderer's Row. It's like they were thinking of Paul Newman and Muhammad Ali and Bruce Jenner.
And, what's his name's, Ilya Salkin's wife's dentist.
Yeah. And that's what I think he was talking about, or she was talking about, excuse me. I'm going to use the proper pronouns here. She was talking about when she said she fought Lex Luthor, because that was the screen test that we saw in that documentary. But here's the thing. The reason why I know that is because I watched that documentary.
Exactly.
Not everybody that bought the DVD back in 2001 watched all the supplemental stuff. So this is a revelation. Just because you know it doesn't mean the entire world does. So. And,
people being pedantic about, well, she didn't screen test for the role, he did. It's like, I didn't say that she did. I'm saying that she revealed that she did back in the day when she was a he. Like, come on, like, just it's a like seriously. When I was writing that title, I was like, I know this is going to create a stir. That's the whole point. I'm writing it this way because it's a headline to catch attention. So I'm not going to write an essay in a headline to be specific about she revealed that when she was a man she tried out for the role of Superman. I mean, that's obvious, but it kind of made me want to bang my head on the screen when I was like reading all the comments.
Well, it's just, we have talked for pretty much the entirety of us doing this live thing about the fact that clickbait headlines can be really, like, over the top in terms of, oh, this is obviously a clickbait. I think one of the things that the homepage does is that the headlines are clickbait, but they're not, like, trying to fool you, you know?
They're not false information.
It's not like you won't believe who Caitlyn, Jenner auditioned for, but it's just like, it's pretty straightforward, and just because a lot of people want to argue, which I think is one of the purposes of Facebook at this point.
100%.
That and to divide us and, influence elections. It was just the ugliness.
Yeah.
Of certain comments and the kind of bigotry 100%. And the transphobia that blew up out of it.
Yeah.
And
unnecessary.
It was just like, why are you guys here? I mean, this isn't the forum for you to express these views. It's a story that's, come on, really, the story was there because Caitlyn Jenner is a known figure, and something involving Superman and Caitlyn Jenner popped up in the news.
Yeah.
So there's a reason to talk about that, and it drives traffic to the site. So it was a little disheartening, and the fact that it kind of continued into other comments and other stories on the Facebook group, it's just like, guys, look, we don't want to shut this down, but come on.
Yeah, like rein it in, just like... Anyway, and look, newspapers sell newspapers based on their headlines. To say that, something is clickbait, I think everything is clickbait, because the whole idea is they want you to click on it so that you can go there to the website or to the article or whatever it might be. So I think the word clickbait has got a negative connotation, because a lot of the time there are articles out there that are false or misleading. But if something is sensational because they want you to take on the time to go and read it, then that's the way the web works. Like, get over yourselves.
Well, that's the way news works in general. I mean, if you look, like, if you watch the nightly news over here in the States, and I'm sure it's pretty similar in Australia, I've just never seen an Australian news broadcast, it's always like at the beginning of the newscast, it's like, will this vitamin kill your children? Stay tuned to find out. They're trying to get you to stick around. And the web is no different. It's no different than having kind of a sensational bit of copy on a magazine cover.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at comics. Comics lie all the time with their covers.
Exactly. It's like, that didn't happen in the story.
Yeah, but it got you to pick it up. So, I just think one, everybody needs to chill out with the transphobia, and two, I think everybody needs to kind of calm down about the seriousness of an article on a page about a guy from another planet.
100%. All right, well, let's move on. Let's take a quick break, play some messages, and come back on the flip side to talk about Supergirl and more controversy right up after these messages. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Up in the sky.
It's a bird.
It's a plane. No, it's SupermanHomepage.com, the #1 Superman fan site in the world. SupermanHomepage.com, covering the world of Superman from the 1930s to today. News, reviews, rumors, and reports. SupermanHomepage.com for all your Superman comics, TV shows, movies, cartoons, radio shows, and more. Everything you ever wanted to know about the Man of Steel and more. SupermanHomepage.com.
Thanks, Superman Homepage, for all the support over the years. I really appreciate it.
I'm Matt Balmer. I'm the voice of Superman and Superman Unbound, and this is the Superman Homepage.
Right here on Superman Homepage.
We'll be back in a moment with the exciting climax of today's episode.
So stand by.
I'm freezing! Superman!
Uh-oh, sounds like Lisa and Scott are trapped in the icy cave of that frosty-faced villain, Captain Cold. This is a job for Superman.
My fast freeze zapper will freeze Superman forever.
No way, Captain. Here, kids, my new Superman Hot Cocoa Mix is the super tasting way to warm up.
It's really sweet. And chocolatey.
And see, Captain Cold can't take this warm reception. New Superman Hot Cocoa, the super tasting way to warm up.
Now we're back on WGBS TV Live. Now, as I said, we're going to talk about Supergirl, and the CW announced this week that the show has been renewed for a 5th season, which is probably no surprise, but it's good news for fans of the show.
Yeah, I guess it's a, how do I want to say this? That the direction that the show has taken has not turned off people enough for them to either seriously retool it or, cancel it altogether. I guess ratings are still strong enough for them to justify it. I really think that Supernatural, going into what it's like 50th year. I mean, good lord.
I love that show.
But no, I'm glad, because that means, once they've told this story, maybe we'll see something slightly different next year, but still keeping the kind of same tone that they've been going with.
Yeah, and not only is Supergirl being renewed, but pretty much all the DC TV shows are going into a new season. Arrow is going for season 8, Black Lightning season 3, DC's Legends of Tomorrow season 5, and The Flash season 6. And these shows provide a strong foundation for a multi-platform program strategy, said the CW's president Mark Pedowitz, and we look forward to building on this with even more returning and new shows as we approach the May upfronts.
Yeah, I like the fact that this hasn't run its course yet. We're still living in a world where there is room on a network for 4 or 5 DC related shows, and that doesn't count Archie. I mean, Black Lightning is going into season 3. That's amazing.
Yeah, I haven't watched an episode of that yet, but it's great. It's there's something for everybody, and nearly on every night of the week. So a lot to look forward to if you're a fan of the DC TV programming that's on the CW. And they're moving towards the Crisis of Infinite Earths on Infinite Earths. So that I imagine will probably be a finale that'll lead into the new seasons and maybe merging of the universes.
Yeah, like I said, I'm of two minds on that. On one hand, it would be interesting. On the other hand, I kind of want to just keep it with the multiverse. I think it makes it more interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely more fertile ground for stories with multiple universes, and the Flash has got so many different versions of what's his name?
Wells.
Yeah, Wells.
Harrison Wells.
Like Sherlock or whatever his name is at the moment is the most current one, and there's just so many different versions of that character floating around the multiverse that they've been able to pull him in from time to time and really stretch the legs of the actor who plays the part.
I'm really hoping they make it a multi-week event instead of just having it be over the shows in 1 week. Yeah. I think that would make it feel a little more special.
That would be interesting. Now we've seen some promos for Menagerie, the next episode of Supergirl, which will air on February 17th. So still, nearly a week and a half away until we get that new episode. But we finally got the description for this episode, and it reads: with his PI shingle newly hung outside his office, Jean welcomes new clients. Trying to take her mind off what happened to the DEO, Kara decides to team up with Jean on his latest assignment, which unfortunately ends up tying directly into Alex's current investigation that involves the villain Menagerie. Meanwhile, Lena shares some news with James, but his reaction isn't what she expected. Nia invites Brainy to her Valentine's Day party. That's what I meant to say.
I'm pulling for those crazy kids. I really am. I think that's an interesting pairing.
Now we also have a new promo for this episode, and it's got a bit more of the actual footage of Menagerie. the character, the villainess, if you like, that will join the elite, I would imagine, with Manchester Black. So here is that promo right now.
Your powers give you the potential to be a great hero.
My father asked me to take action.
What I need is for you to help me train.
You Kryptonians think you're so powerful on your own.
That was amazing!
Supergirl, all new Sunday, February 17th on the CW.
So there you have it. That's the short promo for Menagerie, showing, as I said, some of the powers of the character Menagerie, who has this kind of alien thing, like back to the back of her head. Parasite.
Yeah, that's a little creepy.
Just a little bit. So that episode will air Sunday, February 17th, and we look forward to seeing that episode in a couple of weeks when Supergirl returns from this little break that she's had. And I understand the Super Bowl being, the reason you missed that week, but what's on this Sunday?
There's something else going on this Sunday. Somebody actually messaged me over the last week and mentioned what's going on this Sunday. So there's another big event coming up that maybe they didn't want to kind of
maybe someone in the
go into.
Can help us out.
Though, given the response to the Super Bowl this year, it's maybe they should have just put out an episode.
Something for everybody else to watch. I believe it wasn't that exciting.
No, I was about to make a joke, but I decided not to because we've had enough controversy in the comments lately that we don't need more.
Brad, who's from Australia, says it's not the State of the Union, is it? But no, you said that's already aired tonight.
No, I was
Grammys, maybe.
I'm not even gonna...
Roger says the Grammys.
Might be the Grammys. I
don't know. Anyway, we'll find out within the course of time. But well, let's have a look at the comic book side of the Superman universe. And Action Comics 1007 was released this past week on January 30th, and it's the part 1 of Bendis' new Leviathan Rises story. Did you read this one, and what did you make of it?
I did read this one. Jimmy Olsen has terrible luck with women. No, I liked it. I think as a start of a larger story, it had a lot of things to kind of get you interested. The conversation between Lois and her father was very Bendis in terms of both the style of writing and of the way that that it ended with him just kind of walking away. Bringing Cobra in like this and having Jimmy be there at kind of like a secret meeting and the girl he's dating wanting him to, join the cult essentially.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there's going to be a lot to this story, and I think it really kicked off in fine style. I think this is going to be another really good, exciting storyline for the title.
Now, what did you make of Lois yet again outing Superman, Clark Kent? Now, it's not like she did to the media like what happened in the previous continuity, but to her father, Sam Lane, who's obviously very well connected in the military and hates Superman.
Yeah.
Was it necessary? Where do you think that's going?
I think it was done for a couple reasons. One, especially with what happens with Jonathan, maybe kind of giving her dad a heads up of why things might be a little different when he comes back.
My grandson. No, it's not my grandson. He's 7 years old. Oh, yeah, that's your grandson.
But also, I really got the sense that she wasn't talking to him as a general. She was talking to him as a father, as her father. And she wanted him to know who her husband was. And to be honest with him. One of the great lines was, I should have done this the night before the wedding. But I don't think it was outing Superman like in a like a CW sense where everybody knows the secret identity of the character. I think it was a family thing.
Okay. Now, some comments. Mike saying she didn't exactly out Clark. She didn't say that. What if he thinks they're just having an affair? But I think she pretty made it clear that she's married to him. So, and he knows.
Yeah.
That, so I think that's pretty clear. Now, another comment is that what if Sam tells the world? Well, Sam Lane's not about to go and divulge any kind of information to the world. If anything, he could tell, keep it as a military secret for something that he can hold up his sleeve. It's not something he's going to. I mean, he's used to holding secrets. He's used to having top secret information. It's not like he's about to go out and blabber his mouth to the rest of the world.
More to the point, I mean, this would affect his grandson.
Yes.
So this isn't, if it was just them being married, again, I don't think he would even do it there because, this is his daughter.
Yeah.
Sam Lane has been portrayed on a variety of levels, from kind of gruff father who is disappointed the fact that he didn't have a son, to just being a jerk to Clark because Clark's not a manly man, to whatever the heck they were doing with him during New Krypton and Secret Origin and all of that, where he was just malevolent. Really, I think Jurgen's final issue of Action really did a good job of kind of bringing that character back into a more positive light. And I think this is going somewhere. This is that the fact that we know that Amanda Waller is going to find out his identity as well. It just kind of makes sense to me.
Yeah, well, it's a very interesting time to see where Bendis takes this. A lot of people have I've seen a lot of snarky remarks about Bendis' writing and where he's taking things, but it's intriguing, and I'm on board with it. I think it's a new era for Superman, and the stories just keep interesting me from week to week. So I've got no qualms. I mean, there have been things done in the past, and if DC Comics, if things go somewhere they don't want to go, I'll just reset and do a new Crisis, and then start all over again, a new Origin, and what have you. So it's like people are getting upset over things that are like, as if it's the end of the world.
Yeah, I mean, let's look at it this way. When right after Infinite Crisis, during the first big Action Comics storyline, Last Son, which went on for a very long time because of lateness, it was mentioned that Lucy was married to Ron Troop and had a kid. And then Lucy is introduced to New Krypton, and none of that is there. No. They just completely ignored that.
Yeah.
So it's not like a new writer can come on and just completely undo it. They can. I don't think they're going to. I think DC's going to stick with Bendis until that train kind of runs off the rails.
Yeah. And that doesn't seem to happen anytime soon, because he's taking on new titles and new labels and new imprints. So I think they're happy where things are going at the moment.
Oh, and one of my favorite parts of the issue, though, and it was such a simple little scene, but it was Superman trying to get everyone to safety.
Yeah.
Like taking the time to do that, not just running and jumping and hitting and stuff. It was just just to see him take charge like that is everything I love about the character. So yeah.
Yeah, no, it's going well, and we look ahead to this week's comic books, and there is a lot to look forward to. And you've jumped on the bandwagon with the comic book reviews once again, doing the Man and Superman 100-page Super Spectacular that is out on Wednesday, and it's Marv Wolfman's long-lost story, if you like, or unpublished story that was supposed to be in Superman Confidential, but that title got cancelled before it got included, and he's saying it's the best story he's ever written in his career.
I don't know if I'd go that far, because the Judas contract was pretty amazing.
Right.
But it's definitely, in my opinion, the best Superman story of his that I've read. If anybody has watched... Mike Zumo asks if that's a Walmart thing. It's not. It's DC has basically turned this 100-page Super Spectacular thing into a multi-line thing. So sometimes it's at the comic shop, sometimes it's at Walmart, sometimes it's at Target.
Yeah. This one's out there in the normal comic book stores.
Yeah, it'll be on Comixology. Exactly. It'll be at the comic shop. I rarely do this because I kind of feel like It's not my place to get up on a soapbox and say you need to read this book. You need to read this book. I cannot stress enough that if you're on the fence or if you only just heard about it, this is one of the best takes on Clark becoming Superman that I've ever seen. It is basically everything I wanted in Man of Steel but didn't get.
Cool.
I think is the best way to say it.
Very cool. Well, if you're wondering how Michael knows so much about it when it hasn't been released yet, we are privy to getting advanced copies here at the Superman homepage so that our reviews can be right up on the day that the comic books are released. So you will see Michael's review up on the website on Wednesday, along with the rest of these comic books that are out this week. You'll see reviews for all of them on Wednesday, tomorrow. So here is what is available this week. So we have... playing that one in the wrong time. We have Adventures of the Super Sons number 7. So we're past the halfway mark of this 12-issue maxi series. That is out this week. The only place you can get a preteen John Kent at this point in time. We've also got, as we said, Man and Superman 100-page Super Spectacular number 1 out this week as well. Justice League number 17 is also out this week, along with this variant cover version of that comic book with Superman and Wonder Woman there on that cover. We also have Young Justice number 2 out this week, and that is also available in this variant cover. Then you have some trade paperbacks: Blackest Night Saga Essential Edition trade paperback, and the new Superman and the Justice League of China trade paperback, collecting those stories out this week as well. What are you laughing
Blackest
at?
Night Essential Edition. Look, just say Blackest Night. We're just trying to make some money here. Seriously.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yet another edition.
It just made me laugh.
Mm.
Now, if that Blackest Night Essential Edition, which seems to be a multi-volume set, does include the Superman miniseries, the Blackest Night Superman miniseries, that's worth picking up. That was I really enjoyed that when it came out.
There you go. So that's the comic books out this week. And speaking about something else that you wrote for us this week, we didn't kind of speak about it in our last show, but George Perez announced via his Facebook page last week that he is formally retiring from being a comic book creator. He's been in the industry for decades, and you wrote a very moving tribute to the man and his career, which is up on the Superman homepage now, looking back at the impact that he had on your fandom journey.
Yeah, I mean, you would think that jumping into the 5th issue of Crisis on Infinite Earths without really knowing anything that's going on would make me feel lost, but between the writing by Marv Wolfman, oddly enough, but it was really the artwork that grabbed me, and him coming on to this, because this is a Superman thing, and I was about to start coughing there, him coming on to the Superman books in '89 was a huge deal. And the covers that he produced, and the fact that he was only on it for a very brief period of time, really, but is still memorable, I think, speaks to him. And that's just one thing he did. I mean, Crisis on Infinite Earths, the New Teen Titans, characters he helped create have been mainstays in the popular culture for well over a decade now. So. The fact that he's retiring is sad, but if anybody deserves a break, it's him. And he is, and I'm sure he's still going to go to conventions and stuff. But it's really an end of an era.
Yeah, 100%. And he mentioned Marv Wolfman, who did an interview today with DC Daily, the YouTube video that they do, which is episode 100, where he speaks about the Man and Superman 100-page spectacular. He's been written over 6 decades. I think his first story was 1969, and so he's been writing Superman and the DC characters for that long, which in this industry is for him and George Perez to have stuck around that long is just a testament to their talent.
It's kind of funny that he said that because back in 2006, I moderated a panel at DragonCon with Marv Wolfman and Peter David, and at that panel, he was talking about Man and Superman, or what would become Man and Superman.
Right.
The fact that he was writing that story, and one of the things he said is that I've written Superman in every decade. So at that point, it was for 50 years. But yeah, I mean, he had a run, in terms of runs, he had the run in the early 80s with Gil Kane artwork. He was part of the post-crisis team. He wrote the novelization to Superman Returns. So he's just always had kind of a hand in the character, and this, it's just amazing to see these two titans, one stepping down, but one still kind of going on and producing a very moving story. I think it's just neat to see. I guess is the best way to say that.
Especially in an era where recently DC Comics have laid off quite a few workers, and so it's that's sad news for some.
Yeah, it was, and boy, that one guy, it seemed like everybody was mad that they let him go. So it's just like, wow, okay, DC, maybe you fired the wrong guy there.
So elsewhere in the world of Superman, we've recently posted another month's worth of Super Trivia Quiz questions. There are 3 questions that you need to try your hand at for this month's Super Trivia Quiz, and I'll read them out to you now, and you can go to the website and find the Super Trivia Quiz under the Favourites menu at supermanhomepage.com. And the 3 questions are about Superboy this month. According to the reign of the Superman animated movie, who are the genetic fathers of the clone known as Superboy? What are the names of the 2 Superboys in current comic book continuity? And who voiced the role of Superboy in the 1966 filmation The New Adventures of Superman cartoons? I'm sure Michael knows the answers to those, and I'm sure a few people in the listening live know the answers to those. So head to the Superman homepage, go to the Favourites menu, and find the Super Trivia Quiz, and send your answers in, and we will reveal the answers and the people who guess them correctly on the 1st or 2nd of March. So head to the website for that.
That used to be my favorite part of the first of the month, was the trivia.
Ah, cool. Nice. It's been on a while. Have a drink, Michael.
Yeah, apparently I need one.
And that's just
I hear a dog barking in the background.
Yeah, it's next door neighbour. Now, the Library of American Comics announced this week that the upcoming release of another Superman Golden Age Dailies collection is about to hit us. It's Superman the Golden Age Newspaper Dailies 1947 to 1949. Now, this is written by Alvin Schwartz and illustrated by Wayne Boring and Win Mortimer, and these comic strips are among the rarest of all Superman collectibles. Now, this comprehensive series helps remedy this gap in Superman history by bringing back into print every one of the daily newspaper strips from that era. So I love the newspaper strips. I've got some of the hardcover, slipcase publications that have been released over time, and it's just an era of Superman that doesn't get a lot of coverage. We always see the Fleischer cartoons, we hear about the radio series, but the newspaper strips from that era really don't get the love that some of those other things from the early times, the Golden Age, really do. At this point in time.
I'm just glad that we're getting all of them at this point. It was really cool back in, I think it was the late 80s, but then I really remember back in 2006 when Superman Returns was coming out, they put out a couple compilation hardcovers that I picked up. And you thought that was all you were ever going to get.
Yeah.
But now there's an audience for this to the point where it's a great time to be alive, despite the arguing and the kind of blow-ups that happen online. It's amazing that we live in an era where every iteration of Superman is kind of at our fingertips. Where if you want to, you can listen to most of the radio shows. And you can read the comic strips, and you can, they're putting out more and more in a legitimate form the original stories and archives and soft covers and stuff like that. So it's basically at a point where, it's not a mystery anymore, and maybe it's not, it's not as special when you discover something. But at the same time, man, it's there, and it's cool to have on the shelf.
Yep, and speaking of the radio series, the 1940s radio series, for the last probably 15, 16 years off and on, I've been going through the decades, or the decade of radio shows, and I'm actually up to the last 5 episodes available from 1949, 1950, and it's like really the end of an era for me, because it's kind of like I used to listen to them on, when I'd drive to pick up my wife from her job. Now these days I listen to them on my way walking to the gym. It's like half an hour walk, and I get 2 episodes in, because they're 15 minutes each, and it's like that, kind of made it easier to get that half hour done. And now it's like I'm coming to the end of an era where I won't have any more radio episodes to watch, and it's like, wow, like I can't believe that. I can imagine how the people who were listening to them through all that time during the 1940s, when really radio was their main form of entertainment, how they must have felt when they found out that, after such a long period of time, Superman was going off the airwaves. I guess I didn't have to wait much longer, because TV would bring around, the adventures of Superman, and obviously the serials were in 48 and 50, but really it was a massive part of what made Superman popular during his formative years.
Yeah, the radio show is something I keep meaning to tackle. I have decided that my best bet is to kind of jump around, because I've tried listening from the beginning all the way through, and I always get to like the first appearance of Jimmy Olsen and just stall out. Though it's odd that you mentioned that, because over the past week I decided for the first time to listen to the Hate Monger story and then the Clan of the Fiery Cross, which I've never heard before. Which is probably why I was a little more angry last Friday when everything went down.
Right.
Because I had that in my...
Makes sense.
But here's the thing about the radio show, is just you get through the Clan of the Fiery Cross, which is an amazing serial. It's action-packed, there's twists and turns, and then you get to that next story with that Horatio detective guy, and I'm just like, oh my god.
Horatio Horn.
Yeah, it's just like, really? Okay, this is...
He's like the Inspector Gadget.
Lois and Clark.
Yeah, he's like the Inspector Gadget of the 1940s, really.
But no, I feel bad for you, because I know you're coming to that. Are you past the Bud Collyer episodes and into the Michael Fitzsimmons?
Well, there is only the one Michael Fitzsimmons one that actually exists, and I just listened to that yesterday, so that was interesting, because I'm a massive Bud Collyer fan, and so to hear somebody else do the role. It was a bit weird, but nowhere near as good as Clayton Bud Collyer.
Well, of course not. I mean, come on.
He's the best. Well, that brings us to the end of tonight's show. Thank you to everyone for tuning in and listening to us live tonight. Thank you to everyone in the Facebook comments there for your participation in the show, and thank you to you, my co-host Michael Bailey. Thanks, Mike.
Pleasure as always, Steve.
Now, if you'd like to, would like to thank our sponsor, Douglas Meacham, and if you want to sponsor the Superman homepage, please head to patreon.com/Superman homepage, where you too can be a sponsor for as little as $3. Now, the complete 1-hour video of tonight's show will remain available on the Superman homepage website and our Facebook page if you'd like to watch it back, or perhaps you missed part of the show. But we'll be back next week on Tuesday, February 12th at 7:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for another edition of WGBS TV Live. Look forward to talking with you then. Until then, be sure to check out supermanhomepage.com for all your daily news updates on everything surrounding the Man of Steel. I'm Steve Eunice on behalf of myself and Michael Bailey. Thanks for watching WGBS TV Live, brought to you by supermanhomepage.com.